Easily one of the sharpest debaters out there, Andrew Wilson finally gets the credit he's earned.
Okay.
What you're about to see is Andrew Wilson on Piers Morgan, absolutely dismantling Tomi Lahren. Let's roll the clip.
Get into it.
I believe there we go again. Piers, I'm a woman of virtue. I happen to be independently successful. I have a husband who's not only a former professional athlete, but is currently a professional baseball coach. So is he not a masculine man? I mean, I'm confused here. What's your concept of a masculine man? Mine is a man who respects me.
Yeah, that misses the point, though. Like, you're still not contending with the argument that I'm making.
What's your point?
I'm saying inside of society, right this second, right, masculinity is not only punished, but also women on the right, covert feminists on the right, are constantly and consistently talking about how they need to have privilege in society. I want men. Their version of masculinity is men who take care of us, men who protect us, men who do all of this. Those are all duties that men have towards women. Great. What are the duties that women have towards men? What are the duties that women have towards anything? What do men get out of this arrangement? What are we getting out of this arrangement? Can you tell me?
I mean,
Well, I would argue that men innately should be protectors and providers.
Hang on one second. Let Tomi
Most
respond.
men are born that way.
Let Tomi respond to that, and then I'll come to you, Jez. And then Sean, you've been waiting patiently. So
most men are born to be protectors and providers. I can't imagine my dad saying, you know what, to my mom, you know what, I'm not going to be a protector and a provider unless you do this. That's not how real men operate. Real men are protectors and providers, and they marry women who hopefully have some virtue, but also bring a lot to the table as well, that are great mothers, great wives, caretakers of the home. There's nothing wrong with being a traditional wife and mother. You're misunderstanding me if you think that I think that women should just be out doing whatever they want. I think that there are gender roles that should be respected. But I don't think a man needs to get something out of it to be a manly man, a protector and a provider. If you think you need to get something out of it, I quite frankly don't consider you a real man.
All right. Now we're about to see Steven Crowder sit down with Andrew Wilson, and I was all in on this. I know you guys will love watching Andrew revisit some of the viral moments we've covered, like the showdown with Tomi Lahren. Oh, and don't worry, he takes down Sync too. We'll get to that in just a second.
Okay. So a lot to unpack there, as people say. I will say you do need to provide something for him to be a manly man for and solely dedicated to you. I think that's a fundamental misunderstanding. Yeah, sure to be a man in society, but one dedicated to you. Full disclosure, Tomi Lahren, if you've watched the show for a significant period of time, has been on. I have no ill will toward Tomi Lahren. I just think that that was a seminal moment here in this movement because you've been often misrepresented. Sometimes people are like, he just dunks on whores. Although, when in Rome, every now and then.
Yeah.
But that's not what you're about. You really, you are, I hate to use the term educator because it sounds so self-important.
Logician would be a good one.
There you go. Okay. So, and you've talked about the way you approach it.
Yeah, so a focused logician, focusing from the Christian ethics side. The reason that this is obviously controversial and stunlocking for people is because they expect, Christians to act in a very effeminate way, because the masculinity of Christianity, especially on the Protestant side, has been completely sucked out by these blood-circling, viperous, sewing circle Christians, is what I call them, and they're covert feminists.
That's a long name.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like looking for a bunch of adjectives to lace together.
We could maybe just like bumper sticker it to shrill bitches.
Yeah, that's where that word.
But I understand. So you were asking him before.
Yeah, so like what is
the
and
duty.
I thought this was a really important question that I hadn't really thought as much about until I saw that clip with you and Tomi. I was like, man, this goes right to the heart of some of the things that I've been thinking about and talking with my wife about. Wouldn't it be great if somebody was articulating that for women today? Because it seems to be a huge disconnect. And you can go back biblically and go, okay, well, what does the Bible kind of say about this? Well, it's obviously, having children and raising children, but there's other stuff too. Like when you read Proverbs 31, it doesn't mean that the wife is just sitting at home barefoot, pregnant, and waiting for the husband to come home and beat her up. Like she does a lot of stuff in that, and does things for the family, So I would say my answer to that, and what Tomi probably should have said, okay, is that what you get out of it is children. Right? I have the children, and I will be a mom to those children. I'll be faithful. I'll take care of the home, and I will be a good wife to you as well as a good mother. And there's maybe some other stuff, but
are women having children?
Well, the birth rate would suggest otherwise.
So then it appears like perhaps they're failing at their duty, right? So if a woman brings this up as a duty, right, and knows that you can counter by saying, like in Tomi Lahren's particular case, does she have children?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
and so the thing is like, you know, a lot of these women, the reason they can't utilize this as an answer is because they don't live up to the very duty expectation that they themselves would permeate to other people, right? I agree with you. I think that childbirth is uniquely a thing. I mean, only women can do this. And it puts them in a position of privilege in society. And we put them there because they need to be protected, right?
Yeah.
But what do we get here? We're supposed to be getting the children, and we're supposed to be getting the mom for the children.
Voice 3, you know what's wild. Andrew Wilson has such a sharp eye for what he calls covert feminists. He got Tomi Lahren to expose herself without even digging up her past. For example, Tomi once tweeted in support of abortion bills, which sparked major backlash. She actually got fired from Blaze TV over it. Blaze, by the way, is where Steven Crowder used to work, which is why she's been on his show. But Andrew didn't even bring that up. He just calmly asked, "What do you think your duties are?" And she dodged the question. She said, "Men are born to protect and provide," but that's not really true. Men aren't born with those traits. Women are born with the ability to have kids, sure, okay? But men have to learn how to protect and provide, okay? That comes from fathers teaching them, and from society pushing them to stand up for what's right.
And the dutiful wife and the women of great virtues, as I brought up. Tomi Lahren, the reason this was such kind of a kill shot against her is because what she said was, men innately want to just do this for us.
Right.
Yeah. So what does she do? She instantly assigns herself and all women privilege. We instantly put ourselves in a position of privilege versus men. It's innate for you, Steven, that you want to buy me nice shit and then watch me put it on.
Yeah.
Like, you're
Well, what's the right
privileged.
kind of shit?
You're privileged.
Yeah.
Don't you want me to be happy buying nice shit? And you get to provide it. You're doing you're doing exactly what a real man's supposed to do, and I'm doing exactly what a woman's
Andrew, I have
supposed
to tell
do.
you, you're a horrible salesman.
Yeah.
You really are. Yeah. And by the way, it's not so much the putting on as the taking off that's the fun part.
Exactly.
So let's just be
I mean,
clear.
come on, let's just be honest here. Wherever disagreements exist,
With your wife.
that's a crowd pleaser.
With your
Right.
wife.
Let me. Okay, so that is, and it was fascinating to me. I will say, I don't want to keep going back to it. That no one answered, not even the homosexual sort of ally in there. No one on that show answered at any point.
Anytime.
And
Any duty.
when they were asked, they still kept coming back to what was clearly an expected duty of men all the time.
Yeah.
And men are checking
And what's
out.
the very first thing they always say? And you'll see it on every single kind of feminist exchange I have. You're not a real man, right? So you get to make the determination on what men are or aren't, right?
Yeah.
Now, what if I said this back to you? Oh, you can't have children? You're not a real woman. How would that go over? Wouldn't go
very
over
poorly.
Oh, it really probably wouldn't go over very well, right?
Yeah.
But if they assigned that as a duty that women ought to be moving towards, it doesn't mean every woman can have kids. They can't.
Right.
We know this. But they also should not be trying to provide an environment where other women are not. They should not be moving in society towards a lack of childbirth, but facilitating other women having children and families, even if they themselves can't. I mean, we wouldn't count them out. You wouldn't say, "Oh, you had a hysterectomy because you had cancer? You're not a woman anymore." That's not. Of course, that's ridiculous. But what we would say is, if you've had the hysterectomy, right, and you can't have children, that sucks. But you should still be in society trying to create the conditionals so that other women can.
Yeah. Right. Not
Instead
advocating
of trying,
for them to go
instead of
away.
trying to agitate against it or promote against it, you should be trying to at least lay the groundwork down so that other women can fulfill their duties. And how do I know this? Because that's exactly what men are expected to do.
Exactly what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments and make sure to like this video. Now, real quick before I move on to the Chank video, which will be separate, I just want to say this. Our ideas about gender have gotten, totally messed up. Somehow, people now think you can be a man without being born male, or a woman without being born female. That's where the whole What is a Woman debate comes in. And honestly, debating biology at this point just feels silly. It's basic stuff even a 5-year-old can get. We don't need a long movie from Matt Walsh to understand it. But what I love about Andrew Wilson and why I think he's such a strong voice in conservative spaces is that he goes beyond just dunking on the obvious stuff. He expands the argument, especially with women and even conservatives. He asks deeper questions like, what makes you a woman? What are the traits you're striving for as a woman? What does it really mean to be feminine from a moral, conservative view? That's the part of the conversation we've been missing. And that's why I respect what Andrew's doing. All right, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this, hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. We've got a spicy one with Cenk coming up next.